Thanks guys for having me here today. Quick introduction to our business. Yates Electrical Services, which is what it was started at, became very difficult to give the pitch of what the company actually did in any reasonable time frame. So since recent days, we've consolidated into Yes Group, which is a vertical business offering turnkey energy solutions under our companies or trading arms, such as Yes HV for high voltage services, rooftop solar installations via Yes Solar in the residential and C&I space, solar farm development and EPC services under Red Mud Green Energy, battery and storage systems under My Power, energy retailing under our dual participant IDs of SGA and retailer under Yes Energy, and also recently remote power control. Don't have a nice photo for that one yet. And uniquely, Yes Energy enables us to match the generation from our solar farms with demand from the customers that we onboard, which allows us to create a circular economy and mitigate our wholesale exposure in quite a volatile market. Just a full disclosure on before I begin the talk. So on a graph of knowledge over time, my brother Mark, who's just in the audience over there, founder of the business and over 20 years in the industry, has the right shaped line on this graph. I, on the other hand, unfortunately have the wrong shaped line, being a very violent learning curve of only a couple of years. So just to clarify, if anyone asks me a question that falls between the red and the blue line, you'll be very clearly seeing one of these. So this particular talk is about Red Mud Green Energy, part of our business. So we create renewable-based investment opportunities. We've developed and constructed over almost 100 solar farms since 2016, and we've recently partnered with an Australian funded client to build an operator and aggregated fleet in the NEM. So quickly to begin with, interest in sub-utility generation. So why has there been current interest in sub-utility? Well, utility itself has been faced with a lot of uncertainty surrounding the complexity of rules, transmission constraints, MLF volatility, connection delays, which affects the entire project sometimes, and well overdue market rule changes. So this has been contributing to big write-downs of asset values, and it's making it difficult for a lot of certainty or projects reaching financial closure. Sub-utility or sub 5 megawatt as an alternative can be considered to represent currently a simplified opportunity. So they're not registered with AEMO, they don't participate in AEMO central dispatch, they're not affected by MLF volatility. They do definitely face a different set of challenges, which I'll touch on today, but arguably they present a greater revenue certainty model to investors. So what are some benefits of a sub-utility generation or fleet? Well, first of all would be a speed to market. A utility site can take many years to develop, but a portfolio of sub-utility sites could be developed concurrently quite a bit faster. Reduced approvals, so utility scale sites have a very large number of formal approvals that must be completed in every case. Sub-utility, far less approvals. And if you're developing a fleet, just replicating what those approvals are. Lower financial barriers as well, so sub-utility sites or portfolios can be accessible to clients of less complexity. So that is for both the project funding and the energy offtake from the site as well. And then there's generally lower requirements for projects to reach financial close. And as part of the future grid, Red Mud's always been developing and focused on decentralised generation, along with our behind the meter applications for the farms we've built, because it's our belief as a business that the future grid revenue structure will reward generation placed as close as practical to load. What are some sub-utility site challenges? Well, firstly would be availability. So the land that you want, regardless of how ideal, it may not always actually be available. Or it may not be accessible. Lots of parcels of land out there, very favourable, nobody knows who the owners are. Or viable, regardless of how viable it is to you as the developer, it may not be viable to the landowner. Or even possible with the network, regardless of how much research and available information you've collected. Sometimes our friends at SA Power Networks just give us a big sorry, and we've figured out their way of saying sorry is actually sending the invoice. So decentralised energy generation is growing though. So network and substation current and forecast constraints are seeing DNSPs take on new roles within themselves of enabling distributed generation. And planning approvals too are being streamlined and centralised, recognising the future and distributed nature of energy generation. The market's moving, the grid is moving towards smaller generator sizes. Government bodies are adapting and changing their requirements. Networks are enabling and embracing their role as part of the transition. New tools are becoming available to help coordinate investment opportunity. Most things seem to have been considered, but under a decentralised or smaller generator model, you need a greater number of these sites, and behind sites are these people and personalities. How are they being considered in the transition? Because they're very difficult to streamline. Well, here's a simple illustration. Under a utility scale approach, you need a bunch of smart people, engineers, financial modelers. They're doing very smart things. Need a lot of land, and you may be dealing with one or two landowners, and they have questions, but those questions can generally be fielded within the company successfully to progress the site. Under a sub-utility scale approach, still need the smart people, maybe less approvals but more of them. Now you have lots of very different parcels of land as part of building a similar sized generation capacity. Now you've got all of these people coming out of the woodwork, lots of different landowners, and they have lots of different questions that are holding up your project or portfolio to progress. So how are they being considered? Who's answering their questions within the company? Because they can paralyse progress. The point is that under a decentralised model, when there's a greater amount of this, you can have the smoothest planning and network approval process in the world. But if you can't get access to this at any meaningful scale, then it's going to really, not even at step one of constructing this, and again, at any meaningful scale. And so the solution, like most problems throughout history, can be overcome by using these tools. And like most tools, for any first-time purpose, sometimes you have to make them yourself. So here's an example of the Red Mud toolkit, and this can really be used by any business processing something at volume or scale. So Red Mud has developed 3 types of tools: selling tools, process tools, and data tools, which I'll quickly touch on now. So for selling tools, the ability to sell clearly what you're offering to a landowner or other is very critical. Landowners have lots of questions. So Red Mud has developed a leasing your land brochure that answers this in a structured and clear way, with frequently asked questions addressed. Also, many owners along the way express interest, and serious interest sometimes, in investing in solar farms themselves. Do you have the tools to answer those questions and not become stuck in conversations? Red Mud has developed an investing in a solar farm brochure that clearly outlines criteria and the mechanics behind investing in a solar farm. Now, all new stakeholders, landowners, want to understand their part in the transition. You can show them. We've developed a brochure called The Future of Farming, which explains the progress in different roles and parts as part of that progress. Investing in selling tools helps build your brand and will help you to unlock future opportunities. They're upfront costs, they'll pay for themselves. Like websites and marketing media content, they'll pay for themselves in the long run. Process tools. Well, a large volume of possible sites under a decentralised model means you can't investigate everything from day one fully. So if you are going to, and you will need to, carpet bomb particular areas, then you need to be prepared to also deal with whatever sticks. And to do that, you really need both an efficient process, but also the tool to actually run or manage the process. Process mapping allows you to progress only the best opportunities when you can compare them against each other, be efficient with time wasters, and there's lots of them out there, and navigate application blockages. And all, very importantly, without compromising your company's brand or reputation. Also, data tools. So most businesses, or growing businesses, manage data really badly, which is then restricting their growth. Whereas a planned investment in an enterprise grade CRM allows you to scale indefinitely. A decentralized generation portfolio model of business means that there's lots of data. And if I just zoom in here, as an example, you have people's names and phone numbers and addresses, solar radiances and councils, planning zones, DNSPs and substations, connection types, feeder voltages, capacities, inverters, modules. There's a lot of data and it needs to be put somewhere. So really only needing to enter information or data once allows you It's very critical for data integrity. And the truth is, most opportunities that you may investigate don't always eventuate in the first instance. So a well-organised data tool where you've collected and stored that data will allow them to be unlocked in the future. If network conditions change or market conditions change, they're there ready for you to pick up again in the future. So in summary, the decentralised energy transition is happening. There's still many challenges in the sub-utility space. There's lots of excited people out there who want to be involved. And there's also lots of people trying to educate themselves too at your expense of time and money. Each step is always happening at scale, which warrants your initial investment of time and money in things like tools. This builds and maintains your brand and reputation, and importantly helps you both better capitalise on both current opportunities and also future ones too. So thank you for hearing me out today, and if you have any questions, give me a yell.